Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence. Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com. And by Hyundai. Experience the 2011 Hyundai Sonata today at hyundaisonata.com.
This is Autoline Daily for May 19th, 2011, and now the news. Earlier this week, the Consumer Federation of America said that Americans overwhelmingly support raising the fuel economy standard to over 60 miles per gallon. Well, maybe the people answering that survey had no idea of what that would really cost them. According to the economist Sean McAlinden at the Center for Automotive Research, to develop a fleet of vehicles that maintain today's performance levels and get an average of 62 miles per gallon, that would push the average cost of each vehicle to over $55,000. He says that would cripple car sales, forcing more than 250,000 people out of work. Remember, these standards would require extremely expensive technology to boost the fuel economy of trucks to meet those standards. And I'd also like to point out that we've had fuel economy standards for 33 years and that they've been tightened up several times over the years, and yet the United States today uses far more oil for cars and trucks than it did when those standards started. When the country goes into a recession, fuel consumption does temporarily drop, but then it goes right back up when the economy recovers. If we want to reduce our dependence on oil, the CAFE standards are not the way to go. We've got over 3 decades of evidence that they have not reduced our dependence on oil, not by 1 drop. Audi's next generation A6 Avant is ready for action. Almost. The company is showing it off in this artsy-fartsy video. The popular wagon delivers more features, more luxury, and more efficiency, up to 18% better fuel economy than its predecessor. And just like the sedan, the Avant offers a dizzying array of powertrain permutations, including 6 engine options, 2 gasoline, 4 diesel, as well as 3 transmissions, manual, dual clutch automatic, or continuously variable. Front-wheel drive is standard, but Quattro is an available option. The A6 Avant arrives at European showrooms later this summer with a starting price of roughly 41,000 euros. That's about $59,000. Put it all together with its utility, styling, and efficiency, and we think this is another vehicle that Audi will not be able to build enough of. Whoa, there's a storm brewing between Johnson Controls and its battery partner, the French company Saft. The Wall Street Journal reports JCI wants to end their 5-year joint venture because the industry is moving so quickly right now that the partnership is holding them back. At least that's what JCI says. But Saft is against the move. It claims it sees no legitimate grounds for the divorce. But it does say it lost $24 million last year from its 49% stake in the venture. Before it brings its electric passenger cars to North America, Chinese automaker BYD, along with Canadian company East Wind Group, will assemble electric buses in Windsor, Ontario. According to the Windsor Star, the bus, called the K9, was designed and developed by BYD and will be assembled with CKD kits, or complete knockdown kits, in Windsor. The K9 is smaller than most municipal buses. It has a range of 300 kilometers, that's about 186 miles, and it's got a top speed of just 43 miles an hour, that's about 70 kilometers an hour. BYD says it takes 6 hours to charge using 120 or 240 volt outlets, or it can be charged in about a half hour using a rapid charger that BYD developed. And speaking of electric vehicles, GM announced that it's going to shut down its Detroit Hamtramck plant, where it builds the Volt, for 4 weeks starting in June. The company will make upgrades so it can assemble more Volts and get ready to build the 2013 Malibu. As a result, GM says sales of Volts will be restricted for the next 3 months before production resumes. However, the Volt will be available nationwide as well as ready for export to Europe, China, and Canada by the end of the year. With the upgrades, annual capacity for the Volt is bumped up to 60,000 units. Production of the 2013 Malibu starts next year, and I think that is the real reason for the shutdown. Coming up next, it's time for You said it.
What if we always settled for the first thing that came along? Then we'd never have gotten here. Introducing the Sonata Hybrid from Hyundai.
And now it's time for some of your feedback. HTG saw our story that Porsche may build cars outside of Germany for the first time and wrote in to correct us. Porsche may build outside of der Vaterland? John, I think they did this with the original Boxsters, which were made in Finland. Almost the Vaterland. Drat, he's right. They were assembled by a company called Valmet in Finland. I guess what we should have said is that this is going to be the first time that Porsche ever builds its own manufacturing facility outside of Germany. Dale Leonard has been watching our coverage of the ups and down fortunes at Saab, and it's pretty clear where he comes down on this story. He says, "Go, Victor, go! Save that Saab!" And I'll say it again. Go, Victor, go! Save that Saab! Well, Dale, as you know, I hope he can pull it off, but I think all of the rest of you know how I think this story is going to end, and I don't think it's going to end well. Jesse saw our story on how, at their plants in the United States, Toyota and Volkswagen will fire workers who smoke, even if they don't smoke at work. He says, yet another assault on smokers. When will it end? I quit several years ago, but this nonsense still annoys the crap out of me. Jesse, I agree. I don't smoke. I hate cigarettes. But what people want to do on their own time is their own business. All the company has to do is charge them a little bit more on their insurance premiums. Slim Jim saw our report that Toyota will open a plant in the U.S. to make Corollas, where we said they now come from Japan. He, too, had to correct us. The Corolla is made in Canada and Japan, but mostly Canada for the North American market. And Rafi Khan watched our coverage of the new Honda Civic and wrote in to say, "John, as soon as you said Honda is limiting production of the Civic due to the disaster, I thought you'd say the disaster that's the styling of the new Civic." It's really, really sad that after owning 4 Hondas, my next new car won't be a Honda. Not only are the new Hondas ugly and getting uglier, but they aren't trendsetters that they once were in terms of fuel economy and reliability. Hyundai, Kia today are what Honda and Toyota were years ago. Hey, thanks for writing in all those letters. We love reading them all, even if we don't get to them all in You Said It. And don't forget to tune in tonight for Autoline After Hours at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Join me and the auto extremist Peter DeLorenzo for the best insider information of what's going on in this industry. And that is today's top news in the global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.